Hello and welcome once again to I Have a Question for You. Did you know that the main goal of Vision Zero by the European Commission is to have zero road deaths by 2050? Indeed, road safety is one of the main concerns of the European Union. As key figures extracted from the annual statistical report on road safety in the EU 2020 presented by the European Commission, between 2010 and 2019, almost 950,000 crashes resulted in injuries or death by country, and 22,700 people lost their lives in over 21,000 accidents. Despite the high figures, truth is that the number of deaths on Europe's roads fell by 36% between 2010 and 2020, but this is still below the target 50%. Another related trend is that deaths of vulnerable road users are not declining as fast as those of motor vehicle occupants. In urban centers, for example, the statistics are stark. 70% of reported road deaths are pedestrians, cyclists and power two-wheeler riders. These figures raise the alarms of the EU, setting plans to make our roads safer, to reduce mortality and ensure the increase of livability in our cities. And do you know what can considerably help to decrease those figures? Micromobility devices, which is the main topic of our I Have a Question for You. To start deep diving into the topic, I would like to welcome our panel of experts today, composed by Jordi Casas, City Development and Public Funding Officer at EIT Urban Mobility, and Delia Midkamp, Innovation Lifecycle Officer. Jordi, Delia, welcome.
Thank you, Jezabel. Welcome.
Hello, Jezabel. Hello, everyone.
Jordi, being in charge of the city development at our organization and therefore in close contact with our city network, what would you say are the main challenges cities are experiencing concerning road safety?
Well, thank you for asking this question, Jezabel. It's quite relevant. The challenges cities are experiencing concerning road safety are broad and complex. Firstly, those challenges related to driving cars or driving motorbikes, speed limits, sober driving, wearing safety belts and helmets, or any kind of driver distractions such as using your mobile phone while you are driving. Secondly, the constant evolution of new forms of personal mobility and the rise of shared mobility, micromobility services that increase competing demands on their transport systems. And thirdly, cities are struggling to get ready to confront new trends and new technological advances like automation or connectivity.
As we said at the beginning of the video blog, Delia, the number of fatalities in the urban areas due to crashes is very high still. How are we contributing to reduce these risks from EIT Urban Mobility?
We are doing a lot at the EIT Urban Mobility in this respect, and we are not doing it alone. We facilitate and we bring organizations to work together, such as the cities and the citizens, the industry partners and academia, to test and pilot solutions which are proposed by the industry partners answering the needs of the city. Within our innovation program, one of our challenge areas we focus on is active mobility, which refers to walking, cycling, but also to shared micromobility modes like e-scooters. We are interested in those technologies and solutions which are leading to safe, inclusive, accessible, green and clean urban spaces. Together with our community partners, so the cities on one hand side, based on the data collected from on-street observations or coming from the micromobility services providers, are identifying, for example, the most dangerous places in the cities. And based on that, the rules and regulations need to be adapted, and also the infrastructure, creating, for example, separate dedicated lines. So the cities work together with mobility service providers. Micromobility plays an important role in urban mobility field when it is about integrating it in the local transport system. So we speak about the multimodal integration. We also do things around the academy program, like online training and courses, continuing creating awareness of how important it is to be active contributors to the new paradigm, creating cities for people enjoying the places they live in.
Micromobility indeed is a key element here, but what does it entail? To increase road safety, we are focusing part of our work in the development of micromobility devices that can increase road safety. Which ones could you highlight and why?
Yes, linking to what I mentioned before, we at EIT Urban Mobility are seeking for a rapid transformation on how people move around cities so that we can all live in greener, cleaner, and pleasant cities. And what I just mentioned a little bit earlier is that we are not doing it alone. We are working together with various stakeholders in the urban mobility spectrum, being the cities, which are the legislator, let's say, of the urban space, with the mobility service providers. And in this case, there are quite some of the micromobility providers part of our EIT Urban Mobility community, and with the academic partners contributing to data analyzing and interpretation, for example. Now, referring to your question, from the micromobility perspective, we put a lot of emphasis on integration of different modes of transport, being public transport with the shared micromobility devices, and when possible, covering, for example, the last part of a trip by walking, by cycling, or by using the e-scooters. Together with the EIT Urban Mobility community partners, we are looking for those technologies, for example, mobility as a service platforms meant to offer integrated solutions leading to reducing the car use in the urban space. For example, one of the projects is the Smart Hubs projects, where the partners are investigated in cities like Amsterdam, Lisbon, Warsaw, and Barcelona, the best location and the best multimodal transport offer available to develop and set a smart hub. There is a need to consider that there are other ways of getting around cities than the private car, but use shared modes of transport, so different modes of micromobility. Based on data collecting and data sharing, the best decision needs to be taken to facilitate the development of these hubs to reduce the pressure of the urban environment. So actually, we look at what is available in a city and what is the best combination of micromobility devices, being an e-scooter, an e-bike, or other types, together, for example, with an e-car. And these are placed in those locations that will make the link with the public transport and will help people to think about, okay, do I really need to take the car this morning? I have some other options. This is the direction we are looking for.
Yeah, absolutely, Delia. I absolutely agree with you. Just to add on what you were saying, yeah, shared micromobility services are helping reinvent public transport systems in cities because they contribute to building seamless multimodal mobility networks. Um, for instance, different reports and surveys indicate quite promising figures. Um, on the one hand, an increased rate of micromobility trips that replace car trips. So this modal shift from polluting modes of transport to non-polluting modes of transport. And on the other hand, an increase of riders of micromobility devices that combine public transport with micromobility. Um, Besides that, many cities are focusing on developing this kind of synergies between safety and sustainability measures because less car use in cities combined with safer environments for pedestrians and cyclists reduce CO2 emissions, improve air quality, reduce congestion, and help developing a more active and healthy population.
In the implementation of these solutions to make roads safe both inside and outside the urban spaces, what do we need from our stakeholders in terms of commitment, policy and technical infrastructure?
Well, cities need to integrate much better micromobility into their planning tools, especially into their sustainable urban mobility plans. There must be clear rules on where micromobility can operate and how, for instance, speed limits and priority. Um, Clear rules for road users must be supported by suitable infrastructure, including, as Delia mentioned before, separate pathways, smooth road surfaces, and clear informative signs. It is generally agreed that legislation is required for micromobility solutions to work in harmony with other traditional modes of transport. It is true that there is still a long way to go, but I think we are on the good track and to establish solid and strong bonds with the right stakeholders to make sure that our roads are safe and our cities are much more livable.
Indeed, totally agree with you, Jordi. And I would like just to focus again on the fact that what we are doing here, it's reaching, let's say, the results of a short, longer term perspective. We would love to see the first results on our streets yesterday, but we are working with people and we know very well how much time consuming is to change the behavior of ourselves, because we are used of having this comfortable way of living, and a change and a transformation means that it pulls out it pulls ourselves out of this comfort zone, and it brings us to a different way of thinking. We need to do things differently in the streets with us, and because this is a legacy of 70 years we are fighting in a way with. And I hope it will take us much less to see the first results. And this is the mission of EIT Urban Mobility, to help all these stakeholders to push a little bit and accelerate things that maybe might go in a slower rhythm. But to add and to complement what Jordi just said, we are focusing on the digital infrastructure also from the EIT Urban Mobility. So creating this unseen layer that facilitates people using in a simple, friendly way from the integration of various transport modes to check, for example, the availability, to be able to book, to be able to pay, to make the mobility system in a city accessible and easy to use, because this will give the citizens good reasons to leave their cars behind at home or whatever, and take and use different kinds of transport modes. For example, a few years ago, together with the partners, we implemented the MOBI project, where the partners were looking into the preconditions for e-micromobility usage. For example, which were the regulations, how to plan, what would be the safety measures, what are the legal and financial aspects in cities like Copenhagen, Munich, and Tel Aviv. Now, the project was focusing on how transport, and in particular public transport, can be strengthened and made more attractive if micromobility devices would be integrated into the traffic system of the European cities.
There is indeed a long way still, but we are on the good track in establishing solid and strong bonds with the correct actors to make sure that our roads are safe and our cities are more livable. Jordi Casas, City Development and Public Funding Officer at EIT Urban Mobility, and Delia Midkamp, Innovation Lifecycle Officer at EIT Urban Mobility. Thanks a lot for being with us today.
Thank you, Jezabel, for inviting.
Jordi and Delia were already mentioning some of our actions, projects and services, but we have many more to offer. For example, ready-to-use solutions, insights, best practices and many more are available at our marketplace. Our colleague Sergi Fayez, Business Development Officer, will tell us more about the solutions on micromobility and road safety available at our marketplace.
Hi Jezabel. Yes, the marketplace has several solutions in this field, starting with Dashbike from the German startup Dash Factory. This is a hardware device that cyclists can use to collect information on the state of city infrastructure. Dash Factory then provides a data platform to cities with the recorded information. This enables them to identify hazard zones and potential areas of improvement. They can then take measures to improve the city infrastructure and increase safety for micromobility users. Solutions from the French startup Fluctual are also available on the marketplace. This includes the Data Flow platform. This shows the real-time availability of different shared vehicles in any given city. Public and private administrations are already using this solution to show the availability of micromobility solutions to promote their use. We also have a series of insights dedicated to micromobility and increasing road safety. You can take a look to learn about the latest trends and challenges in this field and to access our full-depth study of how innovation can drive adoption in micromobility. Finally, you can also discover a series of best practices and case studies on how cities have successfully implemented micromobility solutions. For example, the Community Mobility SharePoints initiative, which was brought out in Zurich and Munich. This provides a series of sharing points where local residents can access micromobility options. Enter the marketplace to learn more and share your own experience and solutions in micromobility and increasing road safety.
But for these solutions to be developed, full teams were working intensively and ensuring that the solution was high quality. And how do we do that? We do that through the projects we directly fund. For example, Raptor. Want to learn more about this? Come. The Rapid Application for Transport, Raptor, is an EIT Urban Mobility internal project aimed at addressing niche urban mobility issues provided by cities, individuals, teams, startups and SMEs, submitting their solutions to the niche challenges in a competition in which winners are awarded prize money, mentoring and support. Winners are given 4 months to develop a minimum viable product which is tested on-site within the involved cities. We already ran our first edition last year and now we just launched the second one. Let's learn more about it with our colleague Martí Massot, Project Officer in charge of Raptor. Martí, welcome.
Good morning, happy to be here with you.
Martí, what are the main challenges that Raptor helps cities solve?
Raptor challenges are niche, very specific in terms of issue, location or ownership, for instance. But most importantly, challenges are directly defined by the cities, so their needs can be clearly addressed in an agile way. On the Field Raptor pilot, for example, we had a wide variety of topics: monitoring air quality challenge in Sant Joan d'Espí, a municipality of the Barcelona metropolitan area, reverse logistics in Toulouse, private vehicle sharing in Brussels, and smart data collection in Cunit. And all of them have been successfully fulfilled.
We recently closed the Raptor Pilot 1 and we launched already the call for Raptor 2. What would be the main highlights of the first edition of the project and what are the next steps?
The success of the Raptor Pilot 1 has proved that Raptor is a perfect model to foster city innovation capacity and ensure innovation closer to citizens. And that this model perfectly complements our traditional larger scale innovation projects co-funded by us. Raptor has supported our city partners like Toulouse Metropole, for example, which has seen their challenge addressed in only 6 months. And Raptor model supports startups as well as SMEs by offering them the possibility to develop an innovative solution and test it, having a real pilot in the participant cities. For instance, we had Volvero in Brussels providing a shared vehicle solution in the Turan Taxis neighborhood. And now, this model will be expanded, among other initiatives, during the Raptor Pilot 2.
Looking forward indeed to seeing the results of the Raptor Pilot 2, applications. We launched the applications a few days ago. Martin Massot, responsible for Raptor at EIT Urban Mobility, thanks a lot for joining us today.
Thanks to you.
Martin was mentioning some of the startups that were successfully enrolled in the Raptor Pilot 1. Volvero was one of them, and due to its brilliant work and the efficiency of the solution they are bringing to the market, they are also one of the startups in our portfolio. That's why I'm very happy to connect today with Marco Filippo, Chief Executive Officer and founder of Volvero. Marco, welcome.
Hello everybody, it's great to be here with you today. It's an honor for me and I'm happy to share more about my experience at Volvero.
Marco, Volvero is an app in sustainable mobility for sharing vehicles that connects owners and people for saving time and money. Can you tell us more about how is this solution contributing to increase the livability of the cities?
Yeah, so Volvero contributes in increasing the livability of the cities thanks to the fact that we are a shared mobility app. So what Volvero does is to connect owners of vehicles with our community of drivers. Indeed, if you think about the fact that for 96% of their lifetime, cars and vehicles in general are not used, remain idle on the street, what we are doing is then through our marketplace, owners of vehicles like private owners, but also car dealers or car rentals can put these vehicles available for the community. So this means that there are fewer vehicles parked in the street because every vehicle is used more. So we are freeing spaces in the city, like reducing also the needs of parking spots for the people to use more the same vehicle. So it's not only the fact that through our app people are able to use the same vehicles and share it with others, but it's also there is also a positive effect. And indeed, thanks to our app, we can reduce the number of cars parked in the street up to 20%, which is a very relevant amount of space, especially if you consider that usually this space is totally wasted, and the areas that are used today for storing or parking cars can be used for something different with a more effect on the society. So parking spots can be reconverted in commercial areas, for instance.
And what are the main challenges you face for the take-up of your solution in the cities, and how the EIT Urban Mobility City Network is helping you grow your market?
One of the main challenges that we can mention while running Volvero is the fact that you need a widely adopted app for being successful. So you need many people using it and a well-balanced mix of both owners and drivers. So it's a marketplace and the balance is of course very important. enough demand and enough offering of vehicles that can be not only cars but also motorcycles or commercial and recreational vehicles. So this is one of the main challenges, but also, of course, there are other challenges coming from some bureaucratic aspects. Indeed, you need to get in touch with city council, get in touch with local institutions to be sure that they can support the service that Volvero offers. And here is where the EIT Urban Mobility is really helping us, because of course when you present yourself as like a standalone entity, a standalone startup, it's very difficult to scale the pyramid of the decision-making process in a city council or in a municipality, for instance. But when you are dealing with some institutional partners like the EIT, everything changes, doors open much faster. And of course, it's also the EIT that can make the introduction for us or bring us to the municipalities in which they already have a connection. So of course, that's what really makes a difference for startups like Volvero.
Marco Filippo, Chief Executive Officer and founder of Volvero, thanks a lot for joining us today, and keep up the good work to make our cities more livable.
So thank you very much. It was great being here with you today, and I hope to see you soon. I am Marco Filippi, CEO and founder at Volvero. Thank you.
When it comes to implementation of micromobility to increase road safety, urban planning and tactical urbanism is certainly a must. And this is something about which our next guest knows a lot. Lear Steinberg, urban planner and co-founder of Humankind. Lear, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Lear, we've been working together quite intensively in the past year, and your face is one of the most recurrent ones in the courses run by the Competence Hub. What are the main milestones of the collaboration between Humankind, your organization, and the EIT Urban Mobility?
Well, I think the first milestone was the co-release of the online course Designing the Cycling City. Later on, we turned this course into a platform and created more and more courses like the Volvero course and Planning the Streets of the Future. And recently, we've started to turn those courses into real-life experiences, so going from the online world to the offline world, having blended courses, visiting different countries, and of course bringing people to the Netherlands to learn about mobility and creating great public streets and public spaces.
Leo, Humankind is a silver partner of EIT Urban Mobility. In your opinion, how is this partnership contributing to make cities more livable spaces?
I think that Humankind has a good reach, but while working together with EIT Urban Mobility, who has this fast network all around Europe and even globally, we can work with different partners that work on different technologies on the field of cities and mobility. And this collaboration allows us to reach so many more cities, partners, players, citizens, and in fact make cities more livable and nicer places to live in.
Lear Steinberg, urban planner and co-founder of Humankind, thanks a lot for joining us today, and keep up the good work.
Thanks a lot.
As you can see, there are a lot of efforts from policy and innovation perspective towards fostering a deeper understanding of the role of transport in economic growth, environmental sustainability and social inclusion, and to raise the public profile of transport policy. However, us citizens also need to make an effort in the responsible use of micromobility devices to put our grain of sand in the goal of 0 deaths on the roads by 2050. How? By avoiding risky driver behavior of our mode of transport, either it is a scooter, moped, car, bike, etc., including speeding, distracted driving, or driving under the effects of alcohol or any other substances. We hope you enjoyed our Have a Question for You May edition, and see you soon!